Andy Daly is one of the funniest human beings on planet Earth. This is not debatable. Worked with him on a show in 2004, and I would just cry laughing, even in the writer's room when he was just messing around. Andy Daly's podcast pilot project is back. The new batch of pilots, season 2 is out, podcast apps right now. Andy's a hilarious improviser, like one of the best of all time. And you know me, I came up as an improviser. I don't say that lightly. He is truly one of the funniest improvisers of all time. Each episode of his podcast is a pilot hosted by a different character, like Dalton Wilcox, the cowboy poet laureate. Features special guests like Paul F. Tompkins, Lauren Lapkus, Jason Mantzoukas. Subscribe to the Andy Daly Podcast Pilot Project in Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen. You'll get a new pilot every Thursday from one of the funniest people I know. Hello to all my doo-doo heads. It's Beautiful Anonymous. 1 hour, 1 phone call, no names, no holds barred.
I'd rather go one-on-one. I think it'll be more fun, and I'll get to know you, and you'll get to know me.
Hello, everybody. Chris Gethard here, welcoming you to another episode of Beautiful Anonymous. It's a pleasure and a joy to do this show and to see all you guys out there respond. A lot of people on Instagram lately, I've noticed, have been saying, you got to check out this show. It's full of empathy, and that means the world. Thanks for spreading word. My new book, Lose Well, is out, available for pre-order now, and I would love it if you checked it out. Also, the audiobook is coming, and a lot of people have been asking, fans of the show. I have recorded the audiobook myself this time. Unlike my last book, it will be me narrating it. And there's a lot of bonus content, interviews with people who are mentioned in the book that are very much in the vein of Beautiful Anonymous. Check it out. Also have touring dates coming up. We're doing live Beautiful Anonymous tapings in London. There's a small handful of tickets left. And Toronto. Info on the book and the touring dates, chrisgeth.com. Last week's episode, we have the nervous interrupter. And want you to know, first of all, the caller reached out before the call was even aired. It said that it was a real wake-up call for him, and that just doing the call, he's seeking some help now and kind of doing some self-examination, some things to get a better handle on how to express himself, maybe a little more safely, a little bit more honestly. That was cool to read. Also in the Facebook group, Alexis, who's one of the mods, actually put something out there and said, mixed feelings, and I'd love to hear a trans person's or a trans sex worker's comments on this episode. And someone named Allie actually responded. I thought it was really beautiful. My natural instinct is to run away. He's what we call a chaser. I know he says that he doesn't want to fetishize us, but it's what he's doing. The way he kind of keeps alluding to us as a third gender shows he's not thinking of us as actual women. Seems to be working through a lot of shit sexually and sexuality-wise, and I hope he gets there. Thought that was a beautiful comment. In the terms of saying, I'm going to be very honest and say there's some negative stuff here that I'm wary of, but also he's clearly working through a lot of stuff on his own, rooting for him. You don't see that on the internet so much anymore, where it's both very honest, straightforward, puts out some honest feelings that are not the most, not all positivity, not all dancing on sunshine, but also saying, but at the same time, we're all human beings. This person's struggling too. Thought that was cool. This week's episode, I was blown away talking to this person. I was very motivated. I'm a notorious workaholic, and this person makes me look relaxed. This is not someone who's looking to waste time. This is someone who's looking to go out there and get it, make the best of the opportunities that life offers. I was inspired by this call. Hope you are too. Enjoy it.
Thank you for calling Beautiful Anonymous. A beeping noise will indicate when you are on the show with the host.
Hello?
Hi.
Hi. Hi, Chris.
How's it going?
Oh my gosh, how are you?
How am I?
Sorry, I'm a little quiet. I was walking from my cube to the conference room in the office.
Yeah, I was gonna ask why you were whispering. I wasn't sure if you were in trouble. It sounded like you were in trouble.
No, I'm walking away from my cube, so probably all of my work people are like, what is she doing? She's sneaking out. How are you?
I'm good. I did one of my jiu-jitsu classes this morning, so I feel wide awake, got the day started off right.
That's cool. Did you get your butt kicked?
Not as bad as I usually do. To be fair, there was only one other person in the class, and he had less experience than I do, so that made it a little easier than usual. But then the instructor, he kicked kicked the shit out of me. Sorry, Sally. So I definitely
Well, at least you get a little bit of an ego boost.
Oh, yeah, and then I got knocked right back down. Now, how are you? So you're at work.
Yes, I'm taking my break right now. A little nervous, if you can hear it in my voice. This is the third time I've tried getting through, and I think the second time I got through, but I was on hold for quite a few minutes, and then the call disconnected. I was bummed out, but I'm glad I got through this time.
Well, I'm glad you finally got through. And people tell me they call and get put on hold, and I always say, just keep calling. I want to get to literally everyone eventually. That will be my goal with this show, that everyone who ever wants to be on it gets a chance to be on it.
Well, let me start by telling you I saw you in Minneapolis a couple of weekends ago, maybe.
Oh, that's awesome. That club is the best. Acme, Minneapolis is one of the best clubs. I hope you had a good time.
I did have a good time. I dragged my boyfriend out there with me, and he wasn't really into it.
What? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
He's like, yeah, he was like, I think his comedy is a little dark, not my favorite type of comedy. I'm like, well, sorry, that's what you get. You're with me. I'm a little dark, too.
Listen, what world is this guy living in? It's 2018. Things are grim. Things are tense. People are mad at each other. The whole world's falling apart. What does he want? He wants me to get up there with a flower that squirts water like it's the goddamn vaudeville days? What do I got to do to get your boyfriend? Oh, God. This is how we're starting the call.
I don't think there's anything you can do. I think that's just who he is. You know, he's very... he likes to hunt. He likes to fish. He's a very up north kind of guy.
Yes.
So dragging him to a comedy show was an accomplishment in our relationship. We hit a big, big milestone.
Now, I do love that you mentioned up north. I have a joke that I usually start my set with where I ask people, if the apocalypse unfolds, what is your plan? And I ask people in the crowd. And in Minneapolis, I was very, very fascinated to see that. More than one person over the weekend said, I'll be going up north. And I do not know what up north is, but everyone in Minnesota would start cheering. And then I realized, oh, there is a thing called up north, and it means something. And it's been explained to me that it's kind of like rugged, live off the land type stuff.
Yes. Yep. People with cabins, they go up north to, I guess, hunt, fish. My boyfriend is one of those people who goes in the woods and hunts for about a week and a half. I've never been up there, but
this guy,
from what I hear, it's just a space for people to escape.
So he didn't like any of the jokes? He didn't like the one about having sex with a couch? Not me. He didn't like the...
He was a little weirded out about that. I have to admit, I was a little weirded out about that. But
what?
It's a good joke.
It's a joke. It loops around.
It's a good joke, Chris. I liked it. I laughed. And then it's funny because I had this laugh like, you know, my laugh is like really quiet, but then when the joke gets like, you hit the punchline, then I just like lose it, and it's a really loud laugh. And he's like, I'm pretty sure everyone around us was like looking at you because we were in the front row.
Good.
Right there. Like,
so we must have made direct eye
close
contact.
to you.
Me and you must have been making direct eye contact just 2 weekends ago.
No, I was more like in the corner, but it's okay. I enjoy the show, and I can't wait to see you out here again.
You
really.
weren't the couple off in the corner that was doing that I had to talk to about the positive heckling, were you? That wasn't you. Were you at that show?
No, we were not. I was there. No, we were not.
There's a thing. Sometimes people think they're helping, and it's well intentioned, but there's this guy off in the corner. He's going. I'd be setting up a show, and I'd be like, we went to go to Disney World, and he'd be like, oh shit. And I'd be like, and then we went to this other place called Gatorland. He'd be like, oh my God, what's gonna happen? And I had to stop and be like, hey, like, I appreciate the enthusiasm, but this ain't helping anybody. And then somebody on Twitter yelled at me, you were awfully mean to that guy. I thanked the guy. I go, thanks for you're making me feel like a rapper with a hype man. I feel cool. Thank you for that. But it's just not needed in this show. So, and somebody on Twitter's like, you were awfully mean to that guy. I'm like, I'm the least mean comedian.
You are not mean. You do not have a mean bone in your body.
Well,
I swear.
That's,
you do.
I have my bad days too. Anyway.
We all do. I can be can be a sweet person the majority of the time, but then when I get mad, it's like, ooh, the Cuban's coming out. Oh, shoot, I said where I was from.
Oh, that's okay. There's more than one person from Cuba. We've had more than one episode with people from Cuba.
Yeah. Oh, well, it doesn't matter. Yeah, there's more than 1 million Cubans in the U.S., so
you get
no one's gonna know.
when the anger comes out, you certify it as Cuban anger.
Yes, everyone around me, it's like, yeah, there's a Cuban coming out.
Oh boy, it's like the Incredible Hulk.
It's just like I talk to you in a very low voice, but I'm like super firm. And then, if I'm about to lose it, like I just scream because it's a Cuban thing where you're talking to your relatives, kind of like what Italians do. You're talking to them, but it sounds like you're fighting, but you're really not. Which is being very like firm, and you're trying to like make a point, but you're not really arguing. You're just talking.
I get it. Now, I'm sorry I made, we're a few minutes in. I'm sorry I made so much of the first few minutes about me, but I was on my heels after hearing that your boyfriend did not dig the dark comedic stylings of Chris Gethard. That's okay.
It's okay. Well, let me see. Let's see what I can tell you. So you already know I'm from Cuba. I came to the U.S. when I was 15.
You said 13?
I'm in my mid-20s now.
Did you say you came when you were 13?
15.
15, got it. Mid-20s. So you've been in the States for about a decade?
Yes.
Well, that's nice.
I have.
How do you like it?
I love the U.S. It's given me a lot of opportunities, and I've been working really hard since I moved to the U.S. At some point, I was working 2 jobs and going to college full-time, taking about 14, 15 credits. So it's really taught me how to work hard, which in a way, it's not a good thing. Because now that I'm getting older, I'm like, I wish I would have used my early years or my early 20s to travel and explore the world rather than work and school. But I do like it here. I would never go back to live in Cuba.
Yeah. So,
I mean, to the point where, Chris, I have forgotten like my childhood memories about Cuba. It's kind of, I don't know if it was a culture shock that made me block the stuff from my childhood. Like, I remember little things here and there, but my parents, oh, do you remember that one time we went to the beach and this happened? No, I don't remember any of that. And I was like 12, 13, which, looking back in time, you should be able to remember those, at least that period of your life.
Yeah.
But I don't. I just don't have those recollections.
Wow. And by what means did you leave Cuba and come to the States?
I came to the U.S. Legally, so I came straight from Cuba into Florida. My grandfather, he fled Cuba back in the 1960s after the Castros took over. So in, I think, early 2000s, he petitioned for a visa for my dad to move to the U.S. with his family, and we finally made it to the States in 2009. So we had to wait about 7 years to go through the whole immigration process and get approved to move to the U.S.
Wow. So you went to Florida. How'd you wind up in Minnesota?
Well, that's where so my grandfather, this is the story they say. They fled Cuba, they went to Panama, the country of Panama, and then after living there for 2 years, they decided to move to the U.S., and of course they go to Florida, which we all know that's probably where most of the Cubans start out. They move to Florida, and then they make their way up to the Midwest or the West Coast, and so they were in Florida in the 80s. They got tired of, I don't know, just the economy down there, jobs. And the story that we've been told is that my grandfather's wife, who is not my grandma, was his second marriage, grabbed a U.S. map, and she said, I am going to close my eyes, and wherever this finger lands, that's where we're moving. So her finger landed in Minnesota. And a month later, they were all moved up here. So everyone who followed them from Cuba to the U.S., they lived in Minnesota for a few years, and then they go back to Miami because they cannot stand the cold weather.
Yeah.
We're still here.
That's a big shock. That's a bold move by your step-grandma. Just point at any random place on a map. They might oh, now we have to go live in some random small town in Tennessee, I guess, and we're just going to commit to it. Not that there's anything wrong with Tennessee, but it's just the pure randomness of the choice. You could wind up anywhere.
Yeah, I just think when you make such a big move of, leaving behind what you've created, what you've known your whole life, and you have to leave all of that behind and you're forced to, just moving around and new beginnings is just a way of, what's next?
Yeah, you just go for it.
I have nothing else to do, or try.
Yeah.
I'm ready for whatever life throws my way.
If she slipped, you could have been in Idaho. You could be in Idaho right now. Or maybe Oregon. Or maybe, what would have happened if her finger was 2 inches off the coast and then she was like, now we must go live in the sea. Now we must go.
I don't know. I don't know.
Life.
I probably would have followed them anywhere they went.
I'm just kidding around.
I would have been okay. Although, I would have preferred that it was California or, I don't know, somewhere closer to Florida where there's beach, South Carolina. I love the beach, so.
Yeah.
Minnesota, it's all right. I can handle it. The winters are frigid and it can be tough, but the people are nice and the winters are fun. Although I don't think, what's in Idaho? Potatoes?
Yeah, they do have potatoes. That is the thing that they have in
Fields
Idaho.
of potatoes?
I've been through Idaho. It was actually rather lovely. It was pretty picturesque. It's like the Pacific Northwest. It just continues that vibe of mountains and hippies and whatnot. That was my experience in Idaho. I went to a place called...
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, no, that's okay. I remember going to a place... I was there with some comedy friends of mine. We were doing shows, and there was a lake, and there was a guy offering seaplane rides. You know, the planes that land right on the surface of water? And my friends were all like, oh, let's go take one. And I was like, okay, but I'm really scared of flying. But for some reason, I didn't want to... I don't know if I was being mocked already on that trip or something, but I was like, I guess I'm going to go get on a seaplane. And it was this very sweet elderly man who flew us around on a seaplane. And it was, I would say, top 10 terrifying experiences of my life, but pretty worth it. Pretty beautiful once we were safe and sound.
Totally worth it. Back
on the surface of the lake. Anyway.
Yeah, and sometimes you make decisions and you're like, oh, I probably shouldn't be doing that. This is scary. But then, you have the best memories. And then you probably said, if I had to do it again, I would do it.
So he didn't like any of the jokes. He didn't like any of the jokes? Not one of the jokes.
Are you going back to this, Chris?
He didn't even like the Gatorland joke? It's a classic. The closer?
Well, I think he laughed the most at the end of the show when you revealed that the guy that you guys...
Okay, no spoilers. I'm trying to sell these tickets.
Sorry. I forgot you're still on tour. Sorry.
I'm trying to sell these tickets.
Yeah, so the last joke was the one you enjoyed the most.
Okay, so I got him with the last one. So that doesn't start until about 55 minutes into the experience. Okay.
Into the show. Okay. Hey, at least he enjoyed, some of it. Well, he wasn't very happy because I guess one of the, we parked right across the comedy club and, I don't know, the parking meter machine, whatever, wasn't taking our cards. And we were there for 10 minutes and I was like, I'm going to miss Chris. This is ridiculous. We've been here since 6:30 to get good seats. Okay. And I'm going to miss him. And I was just the Cuban was coming out and he's like, oh my gosh, calm down. It's just a comedy show. I'm like, no, it's not just a comedy show. This guy, it's my friend that doesn't live close to me, but I get to listen to him and his struggles and his life and all the people that he touches, with his comedy and Beautiful Anonymous. Like, you don't get it. And he's like, yeah, I don't get it because you're a nerd.
So you yelled at him and pitted me against him before he even walked in the door. So before he even had a chance to sit down, you had basically said, you're ruining my experience with this other man that I have a strangely intimate relationship with via a podcast. It made him on guard.
Yeah, pretty much.
You made him on guard, defensive, angry, and jealous before he ever walked through the door.
Pretty much.
Okay.
Pretty much that's how it went.
I'll take it. So now you work. You had said you're a student. You said you put a lot of time into studies.
Yes, I work full time in the criminal justice system, and I also go to school full time.
You do. You currently go to school.
Yes, I currently go to school.
Wow.
So I have my first bachelor's degree in political science, and now I had a change of heart, and I'm going to go get a second bachelor's degree in management and business administration. So that is going okay.
And you're working full time, criminal justice, a not easy field.
No, not at all. It's I love my job. I love what I do, but being in a courtroom all day and listening to the things that people do for XYZ reasons, it's kind of sometimes unnerving, sometimes amusing, but most of the time it's sad to think that people are put in a position to, steal a pound of meat or steal a pair of pants because they don't have any money to afford it, or you have the tougher stuff where, murder or sexual conduct and things like that. This job comes with a lot of ups and downs.
And I don't want you to share anything you're not comfortable with. Can you talk about what capacity you're in the courtroom?
Yeah. So you have the court reporter, which is the person who types up every single word that's being said on the record. And then you have the judge, and then you have my position. It's the person who puts in the computer system that the court state system uses to record what happens with every case. So I'm not typing the words that are being said, but I'm entering in the system what's happening with the cases to keep the file up to date, pretty much.
Wow. So you just have to really listen in on all the down and dirty specifics of sad and grim situations as your job.
Yes, pretty much. I think the other day I left crying, and I said, spoiler alert, I guess I have a 4-year-old son. So
you also have a 4-year-old on top of all that.
Yes.
Wow.
I do. So I said, I'm not having any more kids after I left my job, just because of the evil and gruesome stuff that people do to children. And, I didn't imagine things would do such awful things until I got this job.
Wow.
But yeah, I do have a 4-year-old. And on a happy note, he's wonderful.
You have a 4-year-old son. You're going to school full time, and you're working a job that makes you cry full time.
Yes.
Wow. Do you do like a lot of online courses? How do you juggle all that?
So I go to school 3 times a week for 3 classes, and then I do 2 online classes. My son's dad and I, we were together for 5 years, and then we decided to go our own ways. And luckily for me, he's very involved, and my son loves him, and he loves my son, and he has our son 3 times a week. So I go to school those days that he's with his dad. So it works out just fine. We're just navigating through the logistics of it, and just get stuff done and take it one day at a time.
You must be exhausted.
Yes. Lots of coffee and espresso shots.
That's a lot.
Yeah, but, you know, you just deal with it. You just have to deal with whatever life throws your way.
Absolutely. Thanks for taking the time to come to some dumb comedy show. It's awful nice.
Just life doesn't get easier. We get tougher over the years.
Life doesn't get easier. We get tougher. That's a beautiful thing you just said right there. A sad and tragic, but truthful and beautiful thing. Well, you gotta hit the pause button when someone drops a bomb like that. Life doesn't get easier, we just get tougher. That's cool. This caller's cool. I'm gonna sit and think about that. Bet you need a moment to think about that too. Well, guess what? One of the best things you can do while thinking is listen to the ads that are about to come. If these things appeal to you, use those promo codes. We'll be back with more phone call right after this. I've been wearing glasses since I was in 3rd grade, and Warby Parker has come along, made the experience cool again. Glasses start at $95, including prescription lenses. Lenses include anti-glare and anti-scratch coatings. For every pair you buy, a pair is distributed to someone in need. Warby Parker makes buying glasses online easy, risk-free. I've done it. They have the home try-on program. You order 5 pairs of glasses. They ship them to your door. You try them on in the comfort of your own home. I put mine on. I'm telling you, my wife checked each pair out. She said, oh, this pair's kind of like the ones you already have, but maybe we should go in a different direction. I wound up getting a whole new pair of glasses, a whole new look, because my wife and I were able to take some time, wear them around the house, see how they fit. Try those frames out for 5 days. You send them back. You use a free prepaid return shipping label with no obligation to purchase. It's 100% free. So easy that a cat could do it. 20-pound cat. Remember that caller with the 20-pound cats? That cat could get these glasses. That's how easy it is. Head to warbyparker.com/stories to order your free home try-ons today. Choose the 5 frames you'd like to try on, mail the frames back, choose your favorite pair to have your prescription added, and order. Warby Parker makes your experience completely risk-free and free shipping all around. Visit warbyparker.com/stories to begin your free home try-on experience today. Have an iPhone X? Make sure to download Warby Parker's app where you can use their brand new feature, Find Your Fit. Find Your Fit uses the iPhone X's true depth camera to map and measure key facial features. Using these measurements, Find Your Fit recommends approximately 12 Warby Parker frames that are likely the best fit for your face. The process is seamless. It takes only a few seconds. Casper. I sleep on a Casper. I love it. I get good sleep because I sleep on my Casper. It's an incredible mattress. Casper is a sleep brand that continues to revolutionize its line of products to create an exceptionally comfortable sleep experience, one night at a time. With 3 mattress models, the original Casper, the Wave, and the Essential, Casper mattresses are perfectly designed to soothe and cradle your natural geometry. Not to mention, the breathable design helps you sleep cool and regulates your body temperature throughout the night. And it's delivered right to your door in a small, how-do-they-do-that sized box with free shipping and returns in the US and Canada. But the best part is that you can be sure your purchase with Casper's 100-night risk-free sleep-on-it trial. After all, you spend 1/3 of your life sleeping, so you should be comfortable. And I'm telling you, my wife says she will not sleep on another brand of mattress ever again besides a Casper. We love it. We love it. It's a member of our household. We don't even say, do you want to go to bed? We say, do you want to go lie down in Casper? We refer to it by name. That's how much we enjoy our mattress. Get $50 towards select mattresses by visiting casper.com/beautiful and using beautiful at checkout. That's casper.com/beautiful. Offer code is beautiful for $50 off your mattress purchase. Terms and conditions apply. Thanks again to all of our advertisers. Now let's get back to the phone call.
Just life doesn't get easier. We get tougher over the years.
Life doesn't get easier. We get tougher. That's a beautiful thing you just said right there. A sad and tragic, but truthful and beautiful thing.
Well, thanks. We just learn to deal. You know, we just learn to deal, and that's all we can do. Because we only have one life. But you can change how you approach, you know, life and the circumstances you're in. You're the only person with the power to do that. And now we're getting a little depressing here.
That's what I do. That's okay. Your boyfriend might not like it, but I go dark sometimes. It's nothing to apologize for. Wow, that is.
That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that.
I don't know that I've talked to too many people with a more full plate than you got.
Oh, I'm sure there are people that could, you know, that have it worse than me, or that have more things they have to deal with. But
always.
again,
right.
we all, you know, have different lives, and we all deal with it the best way we can. And, and I think at the end of the day, it's like, I feel like I'm doing something productive with my life, although I have a job that's just a meantime job until I can get to law school or move higher up within the criminal justice system. So it's just a job I enjoy. I'd rather be doing this than, retail or anything else. Although, let me tell you, I also do photography part-time on the weekends.
Well, you have a side gig on top of all of that?
I do.
How many more things are you going to reveal throughout the episode that take up a significant chunk of time that I can't fathom you fitting in?
I don't know. And I also work out. I go to the gym 5 times a week. So I don't have any free time. I just don't sit. I just got to go.
Never stop moving. So you do photography on the side.
What was that?
What kind of photography are you doing on the side?
So I do, I do portrait, so family photos, newborn photos, but I prefer to do weddings because you get a big chunk of money and it's, 6 to 8 hours gig and just get it done. I love working with people and I love talking to people and building relationships and things like that. And my clients love me and I love them. I think I've had the same clientele for the last 4 or 5 years. And sometimes, word of mouth travels and people contact me. Sometimes I have to turn people down and refer them to other photographers because I just don't have time. But ultimately, I wish I could do photography full time and move by the beach. That's my life goal right there. Hopefully I can work for 20 years.
A recurring thing in your life is get me to the beach.
Yes. Oh, my gosh. I would be the happiest person just waking up and walking to the beach or even, if I have to take a 5-minute car ride to go to the beach. It's just peaceful and, and when you look at the beach, it's like it's never ending. It's just water and water and water, and it's like what's out there. So, I don't know.
Now, you said you like doing wedding photography. I will say, there's like photojournalists who go into war-torn places. I'm not comparing it to those, but as far as the type of my side job is photography, as far as that level of photography, some might argue that wedding photography is the most stressful type.
I can agree with that 100%, and you only get one shot at it. You can't just tell your clients, let's redo the wedding if you screw up. So there's a lot of pressure. But with pressure comes, I guess the reward at the end is that you turn in your gallery to your clients and they love it. I think I've only had my first wedding went so bad. I was like, I will never do this again. Like literally I got in my car and was in tears because the bride was a bridezilla and she was very stressed out. And we ran out of time, and her planning of her time throughout the wedding was very poor. We barely communicated, but we got through it, and I learned what I needed to do for my next one. And, you just get better and better the more you do it with any craft that you decide to take on. The more you do it, the more you learn and little tricks here and there. But it's a very stressful job.
So you
have so much to capture, so much to be mindful of, their time, their reception time, the ceremony time, and then people with cell phones. Oh my God, that's my biggest pet peeve. People, put your cell phones away. When you're seeing a photographer trying to take pictures and all you can see is a cell phone out, while like the groom and the bride are exchanging vows, it's just terrible.
Right.
Put your cell phones away. That's what they're getting paid. That's what a photographer is getting paid for.
Yeah. You don't want all the real pictures having a million cell phones up in them.
Exactly.
So that means you have this disaster wedding this weekend. Bridezilla, it comes at you. You're in over your head. You sit in your car and you cry. And then at some point you're like, I better get my head back on straight. I need to go take an online course and then wake up in the morning and log all the details of a triple homicide.
Pretty much.
That's kind of your life. And in between,
that's my life.
And in between, I'm going to find time to play with my loving and beautiful son.
Yes, yes. You know, I wake up at 5 a.m. every day, and then I do my schoolwork at between 5 and 7:30 in the morning. And then I drop my son off to daycare, and then I go to work, do my job, pick him up. The days I don't have him, go home, do what I got to do, cook, take care of the house because I live by myself with him. And then when he goes to bed at 8 o'clock, I'm literally from 8:30 to 11:30 or midnight doing schoolwork or working on photography. So
When do you work out?
very
When do you work out?
little.
You mentioned working out as well.
Yes, I am very lucky to have access to a gym at work. So my lunch hour
That's nice.
consists on working out.
So your lunch hour consists of working out. So when do you eat?
I eat after I go to the gym, so I take like 5 minutes to eat a salad or something light that will hold me until I get home and eat dinner.
That's a hell of a schedule.
I know, I'm stressing you out.
I mean, I'm a
I know, I'm
workaholic.
stressing you
I'm a
out.
workaholic, and you're making me a little stressed. It's true. But it's.
I know I'm stressing you out.
But I tell you what is underlining to me. I'm telling you what is underlining. To be. If you want to have a career and a life beyond that, they don't make it easy. It's not an easy thing to do. And you have a boyfriend. You have a partner in raising your son, but it's still being a mom outside of just being a mom in general. It's an exhausting thing. Trying to get a career going is an exhausting thing. And going to school is an exhausting thing. You're doing them all.
It's exhausting, but,
really
you got to
commendable.
do what you got to do. And I think most of the things I do it for my son at this point, because when you have a kid, your priorities they switch, and you find ways to rearrange them in a way that, you fulfill what you need to do as a mom. And I would say that's my most important job. Just being a mom and being able to provide for my son.
Wow.
So, in a way, I just see, everything I'm doing right now and all of these sacrifices are going to pay off in the end because, my son would look back. He would look back and say, "Oh, my mom worked. My mom went to school and raised me." And hopefully, he turns out to be a good kid. Hopefully.
One would hope. Imagine if he doesn't.
It's all with it.
If you have, you're gonna have a very, very short fuse for like teenage shit talk, right? And he's like, "Mom, you never make time for this." You're gonna be like, "You little son of a," right? Like, I don't make time. All I did was invent time. My whole life, I invented time. Oh, right, and that was after I fled a regime. That was after I fled a regime, by the way. I built this whole life for you.
Exactly. That's pretty much what's going to be like. Like, right now he gives me an attitude. He's 4 years old, so he's like trying to test boundaries and pushing and seeing how much he can get away with. And I just look at him, I'm like, "Son, remember, I made you. I am your mother, and you're not going to do whatever you want until you're 18 and out of the house. When you're 18 and you have your own job and you can support yourself, you tell me what you're going to do with your life. But zip it and keep on going." And he looks at me, "Okay, Mom."
Now, I want to get a sense. Is there any way you could give me? Do you need to be in a location where you're a little subdued and quiet, or is there any way I could get a taste of what it means when the Cuban comes out? There's a phrase you've used a couple of times. We're now getting into this idea again. Is there any way I could get a sample?
Oh my gosh. Well, it's going to be pretty loud. So,
I'm okay.
It doesn't just come out. I have to be in a situation where I have.
What if we do some role play? Let's say, and I make no presumptions. I know this is a weird sentence to say. Let's pretend, okay, I'm your son. Let's say I'm in high school, right? Let's say I'm in high school. And is that okay if I portray a scenario in an effort to get the Cuban to come out, as you've put it? Are you comfortable with this?
Let's do it. I mean, I'm pretty sure my coworkers are going to be like, "What the heck is going on in there?" But that's okay. They're used to it.
Well, I don't want to get you in trouble. Let's see what we can do. Okay, so I'm your kid. Let's say it's high school, and I come home, and it's after curfew. It's after curfew. I went out with my friends, and it's after curfew, and you stayed up. You stayed up all night. You had to go to bed for work, so you got 2 jobs, and I come in, let's say it's like 1 a.m, and I didn't even call or text. What do you say?
Okay. Well, I'm going to call you by your first name. Hey, Chris. You see what time it is?
Yeah, sorry, I lost track of time. Lost track of time.
Well, no, that's too bad. You live under my roof and you need to listen to what I have to say. Who do you think you are?
I'm just trying to have fun with my 17. Friends. I went out with my friends.
Hey, zip it. I don't want to hear it. You don't talk back to me. You live under my roof and I don't want to hear it. And if you want me to get louder, I can get louder too.
I don't need you to get louder. I just was out with my friends. What am I going to do? Am I going to just be like, we were driving around. What am I going to do? Hey guys, you got to drop me off. I'm going to look like such a loser.
You're 17. You're a loser because you live at home with your mom. Once you're 18 and you moved out, you can do whatever you want. But for now, remember that I'm working my ass off to provide for you. So you can sit down and you can go back to bed. And you know what? Matter of fact, I don't want you out of the house past 8 o'clock. So that's your curfew.
8 o'clock? Are you out of your mind? 8 o'clock?
You called this upon yourself. Hey, I don't want to hear it. Stop. You
8 o'clock? That's like barely when dinner's done.
We're done with this.
I can't believe you looked me in the eye and called me, your son, a loser. You just called me a loser to my face.
I probably would never say that to my son. No,
of course not. You're just playing along with the gag, and I thank you for doing it. I do start to get a sense of it. I will say, even in you doing just a little dry run of that, where I could tell you were holding back, I was like, yeah, I would not want to mess with this. I would not want to mess with this lady. I don't want you on my. I don't want you mad at me. That's the thing I've just learned.
I think everyone agrees with that. Everyone that knows me, because I'm like the nicest person ever, but then there's a switch that flips and it's like, oh crap, I don't want to get on your bad side.
Big time.
I don't know. It's just growing up with Cuban parents is really, really tough because you can be 35, you can be 40, but you're still expected to listen to them and do what they say. And they'll come to your house and they'll go through your house and see if your house is clean. If you've done dishes, if the house is, if laundry has been done, and they'll call you right out. What are you doing with your life? It's tough, and they're calling you when you're out and about. And what are you doing? Who are you with? Excuse me, I am 25, and I've been working my butt off, and I've been living on my own since I was 18. You don't get to tell me what to do.
Wow. It's some life.
You're quiet. You went quiet.
No, wait, what do you do? Because here's my thing. I'm thinking, what do you do to relax? When you're not working out 5 times a week, raising an infant son, getting a 2nd degree, and working a very intense job, and then also a very intense side job. What do you do for? I need to make sure you do some things to have fun.
So have you heard of paddle boarding? So it's like a surfing board.
Did not expect you to say that. Did not expect to say that. Have you ever heard of paddle? I went paddleboarding once on my honeymoon.
How was it? Do you like it?
Didn't end great for me. I mean,
what do you mean? Did you?
Well, look, you were just in the front row at one of my shows. I don't think you'd describe me as a particularly physically coordinated person. I don't think anybody looks at me and goes, that guy seems like his balance is really top notch.
Did you fall in the water?
I did. I managed.
Did you bring your wife with you too?
I did. We were staying at a very beautiful place on our honeymoon, and on the grounds there was a lake with a paddle and a waterfall. It was picturesque. And my wife said, "Let's do the paddle boarding." And I managed to stand up. I actually managed to stand up on it at one point. I fell a few times, and then I managed to stand up. And then when I tried to do the actual paddling, I pretty quickly fell. My wife, who spent a lifetime being a dancer and an aerialist, whose whole life has been built around like physical acumen and balance, she just got up on the thing, and it looked like she'd been doing it for 10 years. And I'm sitting there trying not to drown on my honeymoon. She just watches me fall off a paddle. She's watching me fall off a paddleboard, praying I don't drown. And then she gets up there and she can like do a standing backflip and land perfectly back on the paddleboard. So yeah, I've been paddleboarding.
At least she's gonna have your back.
She is. She'll have to
save
me.
So if you ever like are in trouble, she'll pull you out of trouble and she'll have your back. She'll carry you. She will pull you out of a hole if you fall into a hole or something like that. At least you know you have a strong woman by your side.
Strong woman is the best thing a guy like me could have. As a weak man, I'm very lucky to have a strong woman in my life. So paddleboarding is your hobby.
Chris.
So you do have a hobby, but it's the thing when I ask you what's your hobby, you name a thing that's only doable maybe 8 weeks out of the year in Minnesota.
I know. Yes. And even like it's August right now and it's like 60-something degrees outside. I was pretty upset this morning. I'm like, it's August. Winter's coming. What the hell? Like, give me some like 85-degree weather, 90-degree weather. You know, this Cuban can only handle like the winter times for so long. Like I just can't do it. So I was really sad that paddleboarding season's almost over.
How often do you get How did you get real into paddleboarding?
I don't know. Okay, so I started dating this guy, and
is this the boyfriend with no sense of humor, or a different guy?
No, same guy. We've been on and off for the last 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Recently, we've been together for the last year. No problem.
Oh, that's good. No problem, except for the fact that he needs to have a better appreciation for jokes.
Yes, exactly.
Thank you.
And for my favorite comedian. So
thank you so much.
He needs to get it together. I told him that.
Yeah. Please don't get in an actual fight with your boyfriend over my dumb jokes. Please do not. Personal favorite to me. Anyway.
No, Chris. So anyways, we went to a little breakup, and I was like, I need to go out there and challenge myself and be strong, and what's the best way to do it? And I'm like, paddleboarding. Never done it. Don't know how to swim, by the way.
What?
You didn't see this one coming. I love the beach. I'm from an island, and I don't know how to swim.
I do have to say, just based on the 40 minutes that I've been getting to know you, it makes total sense to me that I go, so you live this life full of a high-pressure life full of all sorts of responsibilities. What do you do for fun? Oh, an aquatic activity, even though I can't swim. That is very on brand for you based on what I've learned so far. Continue.
That's my life in a nutshell.
I'm learning.
Yeah, so I go get on the paddleboard. At first, I didn't know how to paddle, so I just get circling. And, of course, I have a life jacket on. I didn't fall, which was good. And then 10 minutes into it, I got the hang of it. I'm like, I can do this. So I rented one from a lake here in Minnesota, and then I was like, the next day I went to Costco. I saw they had some paddle boards. I bought one, and I've been using my paddleboard since like for a year now, and I go like 3-4 miles round trip paddleboarding around the lakes.
And do you know how to swim yet?
With a life jacket, yeah, I do.
So I say, what do you do to relax? And your answer is effectively, I put my life on the line.
Pretty much. I go in the middle of a lake, hoping that I don't die. And I just paddle around. I paddle my way around the lake. And, like a sane person would stay within reach of land. So if you fall in the water, you don't get tired, or you can just swim to land. No, I go in the middle of the lake. Like I literally go in the middle of the lake where there's no land within, I don't know, half a mile or something like that.
Where do you think this comes from? Yeah, when you say this is me, where do you think it's born? Because you are someone, you seem to be relentless in your pursuits. You're pretty, you go for it. And you go all in, it sounds like. Where does that come from?
I don't know. I'm just not afraid of life.
Not afraid of life? Of course I got to stop and ask about that. I'm scared of life all the time. Can't wait for the answer. Before we get to it, though, we got ads. Check them out. Use the promo codes if you're so inclined. We'll be back after this with more phone call. There are job sites that send you tons of the wrong resumes to sort through or make you wait for the right candidates to apply to your job. That's not smart. But you know what is smart? Going to ziprecruiter.com/beautiful to hire the right person. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful matching technology scans thousands of resumes, identifies people with the right skills, education, and experience for your job, and actively invites them to apply. So you get qualified candidates fast. No more sorting through the wrong resumes. No more waiting for the right candidates to apply. That's why ZipRecruiter is rated #1 by employers in the U.S. This rating comes from hiring sites on Trustpilot with over 1,000 reviews. And right now, my listeners can try ZipRecruiter for free at this exclusive web address, ziprecruiter.com/beautiful. That's ziprecruiter.com/beautiful. ziprecruiter.com/beautiful. It's ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. Thanks again to all of our advertisers. Now let's get back to the phone call.
I'm just not afraid of life. I think the other important detail I forgot to mention was that I left Cuba without my mom. I left Cuba with my dad at 15 and left my mom behind.
Wow.
And I pretty much had to take care of myself and raise myself while my dad was working. And I think me having to take over, raising myself at 15 and doing well in school and without all of this, without knowing English. By the way, I learned English here in Minnesota. I did not speak any English before moving to the U.S. I just think it comes from moving away from home. You just take risks and you hope for the best, and if the worst comes, then you deal with it when it comes.
Wow. I guess that is true.
If I ever fall in the water, then I'll deal with it once I fall in the water. I haven't fallen in the water yet.
So you will deal. That is a real. That's a knockout punch of a quote you just threw there, huh? I'll deal with the fact that I can't swim once I fall in the water.
Pretty much. What else am I gonna do? If I think about the fact that I can't swim, I would never go paddleboarding. I would never go in the lake.
Yes. That's how human instincts work. Oh, I can't swim. Maybe I shouldn't make my one hobby a thing where I go to the center of a lake away from the watchful eyes of the lifeguards.
Wait, so are you telling me that? What are you trying to say, Chris?
Well, I'm saying it's very commendable and very impressive, but for you but that is where the logic starts to go askew, I might say. That when you go, if I worried about the fact that I can't swim, I wouldn't go in water. Yeah. I guess my response would be, yeah.
Sometimes you got to do things even though you're afraid of them. That's just how I live. And I know it's not the best philosophy because I'm a mom. I am a mother, and I'm supposed to be, leading by example and telling my kid, don't be reckless. Do the things that you're supposed to do to stay alive. But I don't know. I also don't want to raise a kid who is sheltered.
No, for sure. And it's funny because I guess in that micro view, yeah, sure. But I would have to imagine that anyone listening, based on the stuff they've heard today, would immediately go, well, if there's someone who should be setting an example for a son, it certainly sounds like you are that person. It sounds like the example you're setting is one of
I hope so. I hope that he looks back and my mom was a badass and sorry, Sally.
Oh, that's
and she
very
did
adorable.
What he needed to do, and everything I do, it's for him at this point. Since I found out that I was expectant, everything that I set myself to do was for him.
Yeah. Did your mom ever come to join you guys in the States?
Yes. I petitioned for a visa for her back in 2014 after my son was born, and I got her here in 2016. She's here.
Wow,
she doesn't live with me, but she's here.
So there was a solid 6 or 7 years there where you guys were apart.
Yeah.
And now is that what they call chain migration? Is that the thing that they talk about in the news?
I don't watch the news, so you have to explain that to me. So I guess
get it.
Chain migration, they they mean one relative comes and then the other people follow?
I believe that one of the things that the current administration has slammed is the idea of chain migration. And if I understand it, it means a system by which people show up and then bring their loved ones with them after the fact. And people are saying that's a big problem. And some people might say it is, but then I hear your story and I go, people's families being together doesn't strike me as a problem. But that's just me.
No, not at all. And, and my country and Cubans, I guess we're lucky that we can go through the proper channels to obtain a visa to live in the U.S. The thing is, like the law, if you are the child, the spouse, the sibling of a U.S. citizen, you can petition, or the person who's a U.S. citizen can petition for you to move to the States based on their citizenship status. So I hope the administration doesn't take that away, because they wouldn't be targeting people from South America only. They would be targeting people who are married to a Canadian person or someone from Europe or someone from Africa, from Asia. So they would be dividing a lot of families. Not only what the current administration is doing, with Hispanics or people that are migrating from the South, but they will be doing a lot of separation and damaging people from all over the world that are trying to get to their loved ones here in the U.S.
I just hear a story like yours, and I'm like, I don't get what good it does anyone to keep families separate from each other. But again, I don't like going political on the show. That's just me. It just seems like families together, thumbs up, families apart, thumbs down. I don't think there's too much more to think about it. Beyond that,
I don't think people understand what that's like until they go through it themselves. I can tell you, at 15, that was a choice that my parents made and I made a choice myself. I can tell you, Chris, I looked at my mom and I said, if I don't get the chance to go to the U.S. now that I'm younger, so I can learn the language, I can get a career, I can have a good job, and I can build a life for myself, I will go to the U.S. eventually, even if it's just jumping on a raft and risking my life, because this is not the place where I want to be. I do not want to be silenced. I do not want to live in fear of what I have to say. Who can I say it to? And my mom was, that shocked my mom that I was 15 and I was saying that. I was like, if you don't let me go now at 15, in 3 years, I can jump on a raft and pray to God that I make it to the U.S.
Wow, that's powerful.
So that was a tough decision for my mom to just let me go. But, sometimes you have to do what you have to do.
Yeah. And then you come here, you go someplace cold, you get a degree, you get a second degree, you work a job in the infrastructure of the United States justice system, and you do a lot of paddleboarding. Which I must say, you just described the imagery of jumping on a raft, and I did have a moment of panic where I went, wait, no, you can't even swim. I did have that moment. I'm not trying to be insensitive, and I hope it's not. But I did have that instinct of,
no,
oh, wait.
It's not.
I did have that moment of, wait, you can't swim. Wow. It's a really beautiful story.
Yep, I can't swim, but I'm still going to try to risk my life to build a life for myself.
Yeah.
That's just what it came to. I was lucky that I was able to obtain a visa, and I guess my family was lucky, and my dad and my half-brother, we were lucky, but prior to us, everyone that came from Cuba, from my family in the 1990s, they all came in a raft. It was about 15, 20 of them. They were out in the sea for about 10 days, and I'm talking about a raft built from scrap wood and tractor tires. And they were out there for 10 days without food, and at some point they were picked up by a U.S. Navy ship, and they were brought to Guantanamo Bay, the U.S. base there. And after, I think it was about 3-4 months of being there, the U.S. said, well, we're going to send you to the U.S. as refugees instead of sending you back to Cuba, because that means you're going to go to prison. So they were lucky that, you know, the U.S. gave them the opportunity to come to the U.S. and start a new life.
And you said those were actual relatives of yours?
Yes. 2 of my dad's brothers, 3 of his uncles with his wives, or their wives, and a couple of my cousins. I think I was 1 year. Yeah, I had just turned 1 year. And my dad decided to stay because, you know, actually my dad went with them. So how it worked was Fidel opened the waters and said, this is your last chance to go to the U.S. People were doing it illegally anyways. They were jumping on rafts and going in the ocean away from the Coast Guard, so they wouldn't get caught. So Fidel knew that people were trying to sneak out. So in 1994, he said, I'm going to open the waters for the last time, and no one would be prosecuted unless you're sent back to Cuba from the U.S. So apparently all of my family members, including my dad and his brothers and his uncles, they all got in a truck to go to a beach about 3 hours away from where we lived. And my dad was about to go with them, and then he said, I can't do it. And everyone was like, you need to do it. You came all the way here. And he's like, I can't do it because I have my daughter who was just born a year ago. I can't do it. So he didn't do it, but the rest of the family did. And as a result, my dad had to wait about 18 years to make it to the U.S. So we were lucky that we just had it easy. We jumped on a plane and then we came here. The rest of my family wasn't, they were out there for 10 days thinking they were going to die. So.
Wow. Wow.
Oh, you went quiet again, Chris. You there?
Well, yeah, because I'm taking that all in. That's a very heavy story.
It's a lot, but
but it's real life.
We all went through it. We all have great lives in the U.S., way better lives than we had in Cuba. So I think we're all grateful for the journey, and we're all grateful that we're here and that we were given a second opportunity to have a better life.
Yeah. And now, you don't remember much of your life in Cuba, you've said. You're a photographer. Do you take tons of pictures of your son? Or is your son going to have, tons of photographs? Is that part of the photography thing?
Oh, my gosh. Yes, I have. So on my cell phone itself, my camera roll has 17,000 pictures in the last 5 years. I can tell you. Yes.
Wait a second. 17,000 pictures in 5 years?
Yes.
That's over, okay, wait. 17,000, that's over...
Do the math.
Over 3,000 pictures a year. So that's what? It's like over 10 pictures a day. Say you have 7, can we do the math? I'm horrible at math. Everyone's just listening to me struggle with math so bad. 17,000 pictures. So you're just taking dozens of pictures every day. And
yes.
And they're all of your son?
Some of my son, some of my outings out of the, on the lake, or when I've traveled out of state, or family vacations. And that's just my phone. I have USB drives, flash drives at home with, pictures that I've taken with my camera when we've gone on vacation or we've gone, to the lake or things like that. I do love taking pictures.
So we're saying, we just did the math. It looks like you have about 9.3 pictures a day on your phone for the last 5 years. That's incredible.
Should I be proud about that? Or does that say that I use my phone way too much?
You might be a little addicted to your phone, but you also might be somebody who has let the past go and is trying to really make sure you have good memories of everything moving forward. So that's not
Yes.
something to criticize. But yeah, it seems like maybe your phone is in your hand and off a lot of the time. But yeah, who cares?
Oh, one of the things that I'm looking forward to doing, I'm looking forward to bringing my son back to Cuba one of these days when he's older and he can't remember. I think it's going to be a humbling experience for him to see where his mom grew up. And let me tell you, my house was knocked down by a hurricane, or by 3 different hurricanes in my lifetime in Cuba. So we had to rebuild my house 3 times.
Wow.
Because of the hurricanes in the island.
Have you been back to Cuba many times since you left?
I've only been there once, and that was back in 2012.
Mm-hmm.
And that was because my mom was still there, and I wanted to see my mom's side of the family that was left there, but I said that I would never go back there unless I have children so they can see where I grew up.
When do you plan on bringing him?
Probably when he's a little older, maybe 10, 11, so he can have a recollection of the place, I doubt that my house will be there by that time if we get hit with another hurricane. The house will probably be destroyed again, and, my mom is no longer there to rebuild it, so it'll probably be just ruins on the ground, but at least he can see where I grew up.
Yeah, and you'll always have, then when you get in those fights with him in the teenage years, you'll always be able to point to that. You will see.
Yep.
Oh.
Yep. I came,
What's
yeah,
that?
I'll be like, I came all the way across from Cuba to the U.S. to do this for you. I dedicated my time to raising you and getting a career and working full-time at a job that made me cry, according to Chris Gethard. And here you are, being a little shit.
I did not get 2 degrees and work 2 jobs, work out 5 times a week, and do a strenuous amount of paddleboarding. Also, you could talk shit. I did that so you didn't have to grow up in a house that would be swept into the sea by the goddamn elements. You could be. I could have
for what you have.
I could have raised you in a house that the wind knocked down every 18 goddamn months. But instead, I did everything it took to bring you here, to get you here. Do you know how many wedding photographs I had to take from stressed out brides and husbands who also yelled because they felt like they needed to yell in solidarity with the angry brides, even though they weren't as worked up about it necessarily at the time? Do you know how many fucked up, awful trials I had to hear about? Also, you could live in a house that had a sturdy foundation that wouldn't get fucked up by hurricanes all the time. Do you know how many times I strapped on a wetsuit in the beginning of September when in Minnesota it's starting to get much colder than you want, so I could paddle out to the middle of a lake and back? And granted, that one has much less to do with the things I did for you and a little bit more for my own physical and mental health and hobby. That being said, don't you ever take me for granted again, you little shit. That's the Cuban coming out, huh?
Yep, you nailed it. Well, I could go on a 5-minute rant about why he shouldn't be behaving that way, or I could just grab my sandal and just throw it across the room to him, he would get it.
You throw
my message.
Throw a sandal across the room. Just bounce a sandal off the wall. You're not trying to throw a sandal at anybody, but you bounce a sandal off a wall, it might send a message or two.
Pretty much. Like every time, I think I've done it once where he was just like running and jumping and running and jumping, and I was late for work, and I said, I said his name, and then he was like, he said, Nana doo-doo or something like that. He's like, you're a doo-doo head. I'm like, what? I just grabbed my sandal that I was wearing to work that day, and I threw it across the wall next to him, and he just looked at me, and he's like, okay, Mom, let me put my slippers on, we're going.
A doo-doo head. That's what set you off, being called a doo-doo head.
Yeah, a doo-doo head or something like that. They learn new words in daycare every day, and he thinks it's funny. He was just trying to get a reaction, but, he got a sandal next to him that really made him jump.
He got a reaction. Now we have about 10 seconds left.
He did.
I want to thank you for calling. Your last message to the listeners.
Just keep them pushing. When things get hard, everything will shine through, and you will prevail, and your dreams will come through as long as you keep working. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate everything you do. I appreciate your comedy. I appreciate you, and I promise you my boyfriend will get into it. It was a pleasure.
Caller, thank you so much. Thanks for letting me mess around during the call. Thanks for telling me all the serious parts and all the fun parts and telling me about everything and being so motivating and cool along the way. And I hope I didn't say anything that would get you mad enough to throw a sandal at my head. Thank you for calling. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Thanks to Harry Nelson in the booth by himself today. Oh, they got Harry doing all the heavy lifting. John Delore came in here, helped, and then left. Now Harry's doing everything. Jared O'Connell's lounging somewhere. It's on vacation, lounging somewhere. Thank you to Justin Linville for all your help with my life in general. Thank you to Shellshag for the music. Going on the road all the time. ChrisGeth.com is the website with all the road shows. If you want to help the podcast out, here's what you do. You go to Apple Podcasts, you rate, review, subscribe. It really does help so much. That's all the business. We'll see you next time.
Kiss me face to face.
Next time on Beautiful Anonymous, we're talking sex straight up.
So we was making out, and I was performing oral on him, and then afterwards we were kind of like, so now what? And I was like, do you want to have sex? And he goes, yeah. And he like asked about my period flow, and I was like, it's really light. It's normally light. And he's like, okay, let's do it. And so we did, and like it was the first time, and I was like, this is kind of cool of him. The first time that he meets me to have period sex with me, it was really cool. And then he left at like 5 in the morning because he just stayed up really late talking and then, had glorious sex for a while.
That's next time on Beautiful Anonymous. Hey everybody, it's Chris. As you've probably heard, got a new series, Beautiful Follow-Ups. We're following up with some of the all-time great callers from the history of this show. Here's me saying hello to a bunch of them.
Thank you for following up with Beautiful Anonymous.
Hey, Geth.
Hello, old friend. Hello?
Hello, this is...
I'm not supposed to know that.
It's good to hear your voice, Chris. I'm glad to be able to do this with you.
Hey, it's Gethard.
Hey, Gethard. Good to hear from you.
Hey, is this the Puppet Master?
This is the Puppet Master. How are you?
Hey, this is Gethard.
Chris Gethard, how are you?
Beautiful Follow-Ups. Come join me on Stitcher Premium. We'll all catch up with some old friends together. And guess what? You get a free month if you go to StitcherPremium.com/stories. Use the code STORIES.
Oh, baby, come back. Oh, baby, come back. It's not the same since you left.
Hey, this is Arnie from the comedy podcast Hello from the Magic Tavern, a chat show I host from the magical land of Foon with my co-hosts
Usador, the Blue Wizard,
and Chunt, the Shapeshifter.
Most weeks we interview adventurers,
wedding planners,
ambulatory trees.
But this week we have a special episode.
I am so excited to learn about the Earth lore contained in Pride and Prejudice.
We're going to do a book club of Pride and Prejudice.
And you said this is a well-loved book on Earth, right?
Yeah, it's one of those books that people love or were forced to read, or more likely it's one of those I'm gonna get to it's.
And some of our most beloved guests are returning to read the book with us and enjoy some drinks and food over book club.
We have Flower, we have Crom the Barbarian.
And Germ.
You know who they are.
Maybe you don't give a crap about what an academic thinks about Jane Austen, but don't you want to know what a wizard and a badger think about it?
Not enough spells.
Not enough grubs.
Not enough sword fights.
Whether you love Pride and Prejudice or have no interest in reading it and just want to listen to a book club go really off the rails, you'll enjoy this week's Hello from the Magic Tavern.
We shall defeat this book!